RTK, VRTK, GPS, it's all confusing. So what we're going to go through in this video is more in depth so you can learn how to do it. Let's get into it. G'day guys, Jamin here from Oztech Drones. What we're going to go through in this video is pretty much a more in-depth video on how XAG's positioning systems work. So they've got multiple different positioning options for you, so whether that's RTK, GPS, those sort of things, you know. So what we want to go through is what works best for you guys. So everyone does everything different. People require more accuracy. Some people just want to take off and fly, get out there and do the job quicker. So what we want to go through is pretty much each individual positioning service and how that is best suited to your actual needs and what suits you best, whether you want a cheaper option or whether you want a more in-depth option. So we'll go through. I've got the whiteboard here this time because if you're anything like me, I can't listen to someone and then go back and do it. I like to see, you know, someone write it down or, you know, those sort of things. So we'll go through each one and go from there. So pretty much XAG has 4 positioning services now. So actually let's start with the whiteboard. Bring the bad boy out here. I've already started. I've set this camera up probably 4 or 5 times. They've got GPS, VRTK. They've also got now P, and RTK. So that is XAG's 4 main positioning services. So what we'll do, we'll start with the first one, GPS. It's the most basic, very simple service. So obviously GPS, what it's doing is it's getting the actual data from just the satellites. That's all it's doing. It's literally the drones here. Oh, look at this. We've got a cool little toy drone. This will be perfect for it. So we've got the drone. So pretty much the drone's just sitting out on a field. All it's doing is it's getting its positioning from the actual satellites. So it's not using any other references. It's not fixing a point. It's just using the satellites. Same as what's in your phone, same as what's in most things now. So it'll sit there and it'll get all those position points. The thing with GPS though is sometimes your satellites, the satellites obviously move. They're constantly moving. It can be out quite a fair bit. So what we've found is, the drone might be spraying along in a straight line, and then it might go a meter that way while it's spraying, and those sort of things, In some situations it works awesome. Some guys, that's all they use. I know in a lot of the guys in America, they use this option as well. For a lot of the people that are spot spraying or they've got to be pretty accurate, you're wanting to land in the same spot quite accurately, GPS just doesn't cut it. GPS is the quickest option. It's where you can just turn it on, no waiting, turn it on and pretty much fly it under a minute. It's definitely not the safest option. If you're landing on, say, I don't know, here we go, what do we got over here? Say this is your trailer or your truck. You're coming back from a flight, you need to land in that same spot. GPS might land a meter that way and you might hit your truck. So there's those sort of things as well to keep an eye on. GPS can work great for manual flying, obviously, because you're not having to, you're manually flying. You're not relying on that RTK accuracy or that VRTK. You're manually flying. It's the same as most little drones. They're all on that GPS option. So GPS, it's a good solution if you're wanting to just take off, manually fly, do spot spraying on your own. Like if you're manually flying, you're not having to wait for any of those options. You just got to remember though, if something happens and say the drone disconnects, manually return home, it might not land exactly. Sometimes it depends on your satellite connection. It might land exactly where it is, no dramas at all. Sometimes, and I have seen them land 2 or 3 meters the other way. So it's just something to keep an eye on. Very rarely, people don't really use GPS because most of these drones are flown for autonomous missions. So most people don't use that GPS function, but it is there. Say for instance, you can't get any, satellite correction with your RTK or something like that. It's there as a backup so you can always continue flying. Rightio. Bring the old trusty whiteboard back up. The next one, VRTK. probably 90% of people use this virtual RTK. Now, 90% of people use it, but I reckon only probably half the people know how it works, probably the limitations on it, which is a big thing. People treat it like RTK, but what we want to go through, and this is probably the most important part of the video because a lot of people do use this virtual RTK, they rely on it too much, and I have seen a lot of crashes purely because they don't understand how it completely works. So, what it is, virtual RTK is something XAG brought out purely because people wanted a more accurate GPS, but they didn't want to set up a base station or pay extra for a base station. So what it is, the drone is gathering points. So when you first start up, it's gathering its points, similar to the GPS option, but it's also talking to the remote as well. So you've got the remote. So it's creating like a three-way. So satellite's talking to the drone, it's also talking to the remote and talking back to the satellites. So it's using a reference point from those three things. It's not just using that one reference point. It's not just using the one. So it's also referencing back to the remote where it is as well, back to the satellites. So you can move around. It's not like a base station where you can just set it up and forget about it. And just leave it in that one spot. You can move around with it anywhere, like it's a movable option. It'll have that accuracy. Now, it has that RTK accuracy within, I think it's like, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, it's like 20 centimeters or something like that. Anyway, more than enough for most people when they're working. But the main problem the main issue that people get caught out with virtual RTK is when XAG built this, the way that it works, because obviously it's fixing a point, it only stays accurate for 2 to 3 hours. Now I've seen it sometimes stay accurate for probably an hour, but you'll see when you click on that VRTK, there's a big warning that comes up there and says, look, this is a positioning mode that works, but after a while, it may get less accurate. Or what it does sometimes is it gives you a warning after 2 to 3 hours, say, look, it's lost its positioning. You're going to have to redo the positioning. Because what it's doing is as the Earth's moving and, you know, it's losing its positioning. You know, it's because the Earth is moving, satellites are moving, it's getting less and less accurate. So they say 2 to 3 hours. I've seen it work all day with no issues, but I've also seen them work 2 hours and then come back on their land and land 2 meters that way. So if you are using that virtual RTK, it is very important to obviously, you know, don't 100% rely on it. If you're landing in an area that requires a very accurate landing point, so say for instance on the back of a trailer, I've had people try and land in between two little, you know, greenhouses and those sort of things, very tight situations. If you are using virtual RTK, you have to be very vigilant on how you use it. Whether you have to be careful because obviously it may move that meter or something like that when it comes back. So there is a few options to, you know, you can either have it return to home and just hover, so you manually land it, or just have a big open area. If you're working in a big open area, have that open. So worst case, if it does come back in a meter, then it won't affect it. So another big thing with virtual RTK, this is what everyone gets confused about, is the offset correction. So what it is, get our trusty whiteboard back up here. Okay, let's go this way. Might be a bit easier. You might be able to see this a bit easier. I'm just trying to see where we've got all these bloody lights set up and who knows what. Okay, so you can mark in virtual RTK. You can mark a field out in virtual RTK as well. So that field is going to be accurate within that 2 to 3 hour range. So say for instance, you go and mark your field out, whether a remote or with the drone in virtual RTK. If the drone's in virtual RTK mode and you mark out a field, so you're marking out a point here, a point here, a point here, a point here, or anyway, that becomes a nice square. So you've flown that around, you've marked those points of your drone in virtual RTK mode. Well, that will stay accurate within that 2 to 3 hours, obviously, because you've marked it in that mode. Now, if you come back the next day, you'll find sometimes it might be fine, the field might be exactly accurate again, but because obviously this isn't using a fixed point, it's only using that fixed point for 2 to 3 hours, well, this whole field might be moved over a little bit, if that makes sense. So it might have moved over 2 to 3 meters. You know, and that can cause a lot of problems if you've marked out obstacles or, you know, bits and pieces in here, obstacles. Well, that drone, the whole map could be shifted over. So your obstacles are over here now, but it thinks it's over here. So this is where a lot of people get caught out. So if you are marking out that in virtual RTK, this is where if you're going to come back the next day or something like that, or you need to do that offset correction. In saying that, I've seen a lot of fields, you don't need to do it. There's no, you know, you come back and it flies perfectly on you know, exactly where it is, but it is best, and we do recommend it to do this, especially if you've got obstacles in it. If it's a big open field, no issues. You know, you'll see straight away on your first flight, the drone might fly over here, or you just offset correct that. Now, offset correction is a big one. You'll see when you go to start your first flight in VRTK mode, it'll come up and say, do you want to perform an offset correction? You can hit cancel and it'll just start flying, or you can hit confirm and then it'll say righto. Well, what it'll do is it'll light up all these boundary points. It'll also light up the obstacle points, and there's also a new marker option now as well. So right down here, marker. So that's like a little purple dot that you can put, say, out here somewhere. So what that is, righto. So now you're in that option where what you do in that offset correction mode, you'll see it when you go into your job, it'll come up a big screen. Do you want to offset correct? So what you want to do, your little drone here, right? You're over here. Now you want to fly to one of these points that you know. So say for instance, you have a fence post over here, right? Well, you know that is where your edge of the boundary is. So you fly your drone over there, hover over top of that fence post, and then on your screen there, you'll see a point that says correct to the drone. So what you do, you press on that boundary point with your finger, you press on it on your screen, and then there's an option, it'll light up on your screen. Then there's an option that says correct to drone because your drone is flying over top of that point, and then you'll see the whole field will move to exactly where it's meant to be. Or say for instance, it's a pivot block that doesn't have a nice corner or something like that. Well, there's the marker option. So the marker is where you can put anywhere. You can put outside the field, you can put at, say, a center pivot, you can put it in the center of the pivot. You can put it at a stump or a fence or a marker or something you've put outside the field. Well, you can just fly your drone to that marker, hover over the top of that marker, and then press that correct correct to drone, because you know you're hovering over top of it. You can see it on the camera, you're hovering right over it, and then it'll move all that. It'll also move all those obstacles, it'll move all those boundaries, it'll move everything to that. Now, it will only move that stuff in that field. So say you've marked a completely different field, I don't know, 1 kilometre away, it's not going to move all that. So when you go into that other field, you need to do the same for that as well. This only takes, once you know how to do it, only takes probably 30 seconds to a minute to correct your whole field first before you fly. So that is, yeah, it doesn't take long. Obviously it's quicker than setting up a base station, but it is very important to remember that if you mark out in that virtual RTK mode, or even if you mark out using a satellite map, you know, if you mark out off a satellite map, well, this is one way to get that field 100% accurate, because you know you've flown over one of those points that you know that is going to be accurate. That's a basic run through of virtual RTK. It is complicated, but once you learn how to use it, it is quite simple, and it's a great tool because you don't have to set anything up. You can still have that accuracy without setting anything up. The next one, PPP. So, to be honest, this has only just come available in the last week, PPP. So what it is XAG's new feature. A lot of you tractor guys would probably know about it already. It's what a lot of tractors already use. So what it is very similar to VRTK, but it stays, it doesn't lose its signal throughout the day. So VRTK will last active for 2 to 3 hours. PPP will last active for the whole day. And when you come back, it'll also be the same. It won't move, nothing will move. Now, the downside of using PPP is it takes anywhere from 10 minutes to half an hour to get that active point, because what it's doing is it's got to get that, it's got to correlate all those positions, it's got to correct itself and everything like that. It takes that long to get that active. So it's an option that some guys, if they're doing a big mix or something like that, they'll just set the drone up first, chuck it in that PPP mode while they're mixing. They might take 10 minutes to half an hour to do all their batches, but then they don't have to worry about doing any more offsets or anything like that. So that's an option that a lot of, in XAG's new auto steer units, they have that option as well. The P150s have this option. I don't think the P100 Pros or the P100s or the V40s have this option yet. From when I was looking, I didn't see any. But yeah, the P150s do have this option now. The next one, RTK. Now, RTK is probably, well, it is the most accurate way to do anything, obviously, because RTK, what it's using is, obviously, it's using a fixed point. So that fixed point can come in, I think it's 3 different options now. So one, it's a portable base station. So XAG have a few portable base stations now. For the P100 Pros, you have the XRTK4. So a lot of guys have that. It's just a mushroom head on a pole. You set that up, you mark that, and then that's the drone talks to that, and it's accurate. Only issue with that is, one, you have to set that base station, that portable base station up in the same spot. If you do that same field again, you can't move that portable base station at all. It's got to be in that same spot. There's another option now too with the P150s. Actually, here it is here. So this is the new XRTK6. So what this is, it's a portable base station. It's also a marker. You can go around and mark your fields out. So this comes with the P150s or the tractor units as well. So you can mark out your field, then you can set this up on a tripod, and this becomes your new base station. There is a function in this where you can set this up anywhere as well. You don't have to set it up in the same spot. So that's an option with the XRTK6 as well. They also do have 2 other options as well with the RTK. So you've got a fixed station. So that fixed station will go on like your workshop roof or your house, and it's a fixed station, so it stays there. You don't move it ever. We've had one on our workshop roof now for 5 or 6 years, I think. We haven't touched it. It's got solar panels. It's completely offline. It uses uses its own power. We don't have power or anything going to it. It's a solar panel system. Haven't touched it in 5 or 6 years. It's unreal. Now, it will have a 50 kilometer range, they say. So all of our jobs are within that 50 kilometer range, so it works great for us. Now, the downfall on that system is it needs cellular connection, cellular to work. So it has a SIM card in it, and then it talks to our drones via a cellular connection. So whether that's we have our drones on Starlink or we have a SIM card in our drones, it talks to them like that. It only works off a SIM card though, the fixed station, so you need a SIM card and you need internet where you're working to do that. A lot of where we are, it's pretty good. You know, we have internet in most areas. We mark everything out with that, and then everything is spot on. We don't have to worry about anything. Now, there is also another one which is becoming very, very popular amongst a lot of users now, is the CORS network or N-Trip service. A cellular, all it is a cellular base station. So all around Australia, there's these N-Trip towers that you can connect to. A lot of tractors connect to them. There's a lot of different ones all around Australia. Pretty much you'll have one wherever you are. Now you pay a subscription. It's not through XAG, it's through a third party. There's a lot of different guys out there that do them. Some of them are very expensive, some of them are quite cheap. Some of them are $40 a month, some of them are $100 a month. You pay a subscription. So what that does is that allows you to use their base stations, if that makes sense. So you do need internet for that as well, but you only need internet at the controller. So a lot of guys are using that for, they'll just have a Starlink. They'll just have, wherever they are, they'll have a Starlink that connects to their controller. And then that way, what it does is you can get that RTK accuracy anywhere. So you can mark out an RTK, whether you're marking out, say, with a smaller drone, so say a DJI M3M, you've mapped the whole area with that base station using that same subscription, then what you do is when you come to spray, then you use that same base station again, you connect your XAG drone to that base station, and then that way everything is exactly the same. You're not having two base stations that you're trying to align the different corrections and everything like that. So I know a lot of guys are using that subscription-based method now. There are some pretty cheap ones out there, and there are some very expensive ones. So it's trying to figure out what works best for you. So that's just a basic run through. Well, it's probably more in depth, to be honest. A more in depth run through of the 4 different. We've got the 4 different positioning methods that XAG use. Obviously, what is it now? It's March in 2025, so there will be more, there will be easier options, there will be better options. You know, they change it all the time. So this is what's out now, this is what's available, and it's a solution for everybody. So it's working out what works best for you, what is, you know, for your farm, what is the easiest to use for you, what is the, you know, most accurate, and those sort of things. One solution doesn't work for everyone. That's why we give everyone, when we sell them a unit, we talk to them, say, right, well, this is what works best for you. Most guys will just start without a RTK station. They'll just start on the VRTK, and then they'll say, righto, well, maybe down the track, we want to do more accurate spraying, we want to do more spot spraying and those sort of things. So they'll go to a cellular, an N-trip, or a portable base station or something like that. So yeah, we just like to give everyone the options, because, you know, we can all sell you the most expensive thing up front, but I have a lot of people that just put it in their shed and they never use their base stations. So it's more working out what works best for you, and that's why videos like this is more in depth, so that, you know, you learn what works best for you, because everyone's different. Very good, and thank you. We've got a lot of these videos coming. Yeah, if there's anything that you want to learn about, flick us a message and we'll do a video on it. Thank you.